In the very first book of the Bible, Genesis, it's a story of creation, of God bringing together the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24 tells us, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." These words, spoken thousands of years ago, still hold profound truth for us today. They lay out the core principles of God's design for marriage. Let's break down those principles: leaving, cleaving, and becoming one flesh. Leaving means more than just physically moving out of your parents' house. It signifies a shift in priorities. Your spouse becomes your new number one. Cleaving speaks of an unbreakable bond, a fierce loyalty and commitment to one another. And becoming one flesh refers not just to the physical union of a married couple, but also to a deep spiritual connection. It's about two individuals becoming one team, facing life's joys and challenges together. Centuries after Genesis, Jesus reinforced God's design for marriage. In Matthew chapter 19, verses 4 through 6, Jesus reminds us that from the beginning, God created marriage to be a lifelong union between a man and a woman. He says, "So they are no longer two but one flesh. What therefore God has joined together, let not man separate." Jesus emphasizes the sacredness of marriage, calling it a covenant established by God himself. It's not something to be entered into lightly or broken easily. Many passages of Scripture give several points for understanding God's design for marriage. First, marriage involves a man and a woman. The Hebrew word for wife is gender-specific. It cannot mean anything other than a woman. There is no passage in Scripture that mentions a marriage involving anything other than a man and a woman. It is impossible for a family to form or human reproduction to take place asexually. Since God ordained sex to only take place between a married couple, it follows that God's design is for the family unit to be formed when a man and woman come together in a sexual relationship and have children. The Apostle Paul, in his letters to early Christian churches, offers further guidance on marriage. His words have been a source of wisdom and reflection for centuries, providing insight into the complexities of human relationships and spiritual commitments. In 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 32 to 35, Paul acknowledges the value of both marriage and singleness. He emphasizes that each state has its own unique advantages and challenges, and that both can be lived in a way that honors God. He says that while marriage has its blessings, it also comes with certain responsibilities. These responsibilities can sometimes distract from one's devotion to God, as the needs of a spouse and family require attention and care. Singleness, on the other hand, allows for a greater focus on serving God. Without the obligations that come with marriage, a single person can dedicate more time and energy to spiritual pursuits and community service. Paul's point is not that one path is better than the other, but rather that both are honorable ways to live a life pleasing to God. He encourages believers to consider their own circumstances and gifts, and to choose the path that will best enable them to serve God and others. Whether married or single, the ultimate goal is to live a life of faith, love, and service. Perhaps the most beautiful aspect of biblical marriage is the way it reflects Christ's love for the church. This divine relationship is a profound mystery, yet it is revealed through the union of husband and wife. Ephesians chapter 5, verses 22 to 33 describes this relationship, saying that husbands should love their wives just as Christ loved the church, giving himself up for her. This sacrificial love is the cornerstone of a godly marriage, where the husband is called to lead with love, compassion, and selflessness. Wives, in turn, are called to respect and submit to their husbands as the church submits to Christ. This submission is not about inferiority, but about mutual respect and honor, creating a harmonious and balanced relationship. This doesn't imply inequality, but rather a beautiful picture of two becoming one, just as Christ and the church are one. In this union, both partners grow together in faith, supporting and uplifting each other, reflecting the unity and love that Christ has for his church. The marriage covenant becomes a living testimony of God's grace and love, a mirror of the divine relationship between Christ and his beloved church. So, what defines marriage in God's eyes? The following principles offer guidance. As long as the requirements are reasonable and align with biblical values, a couple should seek formal recognition from the government. A couple should also observe the cultural, familial, and covenantal practices commonly recognized for establishing a marriage. If possible, the couple should consummate the marriage through sexual union, fulfilling the physical aspect of the one flesh principle. It starts with understanding that marriage is a sacred covenant, a lifelong commitment between a man and a woman designed to reflect God's love for us. This covenant is more than a contract, it is a holy promise to support and cherish one another. It requires leaving, cleaving, and becoming one flesh, putting your spouse first and facing life's challenges as a team. This means prioritizing your partner's needs, dreams, and well-being above all else. And it's about reflecting Christ's love for the church through sacrifice, forgiveness, and unwavering devotion. This love is patient and kind, always ready to forgive and move forward together. It is a love that grows stronger through trials and triumphs, a love that endures all things. Building a lasting love also involves celebrating the small moments and milestones, creating memories that strengthen your bond. It's about being each other's biggest supporter and finding joy in the journey together. In the end, a lasting love is built on a foundation of faith, trust, and mutual respect. It is a journey of two hearts becoming one, united in purpose and love.